Hey guys, welcome to the Tuesday Night Hang. We appreciate you coming. We're a little late. We're always late. I don't know. We got to start this thing earlier because I'm having problems sleeping. I don't know. So welcome. These are my oven mitts. I'm practicing safe, practicing being safe by myself. Touch my microphone. Anyway, so we appreciate it. We have a great guest tonight. We're going to bring him out here in a few minutes, but we're just going to catch up with my man from LaGrange, Illinois. He's out of LaGrange, but very close to Chicago. Say hello to my friend Stephen Wright.
What's going on, everybody? How's everybody out in internet land?
How you making out, man? How was your week?
Good. I mean, yeah, we're just hanging at home.
Yeah, I mean, we started late. I feel horrible, but really, Justin and I were talking earlier. It's like, where's everybody going?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Got to put your gloves and suit on to go out, man. It's crazy, though. I mean, Florida's like they're opening everything up, and every state has its own thing, and it's cool. But my heart's still out for all my New York, New Jersey friends, and man, it's just a mess. It's been crazy. Hopefully, everybody's doing good, and we know it's trying times. And what's it like in Chicago? It's cold as hell there, right?
It's up and down. We had some frost a couple days ago. Today it was actually pretty nice. It's in the high 50s, low 60s here today.
Well, good.
So yeah,
you should do the weather. You should be the weatherman from now on. You should come up with a map and stuff.
I got a green screen in my closet over there. So
yeah, that's next week. Put on a nice little number. Yeah, something nice for everybody.
I got you.
Look nice.
It'd probably be closer to the Robin Williams style of weather, but
yeah, exactly.
It's a case of
comes
crappy.
Out in his, Speedo.
What is it with you and the Speedo? You're washing trombones with a Speedo. You're doing the weather in a Speedo.
Yeah, it's something with virtual. Everything's a Speedo on virtual.
You got a virtual Speedo. I hope it's a real Speedo because I
don't. Oh Lord.
Yeah.
My mom's gonna watch this and call me and say,
"Hey, it only took us 2 minutes."
That way. What's wrong with you, son?
Exactly.
Oh Lord. Speaking of what's wrong with me, let's talk about what's right. Enough of this negative stuff and crazy stuff. Did everybody watch this Robin Hood thing last night? Man, that was out of control. You check that out?
Yeah, man, it was really, really cool. I couldn't believe what they pulled off.
Pretty amazing. Talk about virtual. Makes us look like novices.
Yeah, right.
We are actually. I am. You're good. You're the weatherman.
I'm learning. This is all a learning experience. I fully expect the stream to crash any point.
It could happen. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't jinx it.
But
I'll tell you what, I dug Sting. I thought Sting was great. Everybody was great.
Yeah.
I dig Sting. I thought he was great. And, not because I work for him, but I got to tell you something. Being a New Yorker or just being an American, seeing the end of that show, I played Miami 2017. I can't tell you how many times I played that song. And it's a special song. I know it's a special song, but not to be trite. And the word I'm looking for is overly dramatic. It put me on the floor last night, having him just play piano and singing it and then seeing, Times Square. And, it's it put me in a place that I rarely go. And everybody, not just me, but I think a lot of people tend to take situations for granted. I know I do. And seeing my boss on that thing last night just put me to my knees, man. I was like, wow, I can't believe this. It was really apropos for the time, and it was special, man. That's how I feel about it. Maybe you didn't like it, but I judging from all the press and everything I've seen, press wise and social wise, people are just eating it up. The whole thing was really, really amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. Just from, I don't usually post about that type of stuff on social media, but
sure.
Like for me, what was really interesting is you kind of forget how, like, when you're involved with music, the different stages, you know. And for me, last night wasn't just a cool moment, you know, or a memorable thing, you know. It was wow, Billy Joel is just a gigantic musician. I mean, when you're playing a song that you wrote over 30 years ago, and there's still, you know, it's still a focal point to a moment like this, and they're choreographing a lighting show and the broadcasting it on the top of the Empire State Building. I mean,
bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long way from you know, a small stage in a nightclub.
Yeah, nah, you know, it's he's the master for a reason, you know what I mean? Again, you know, you do these live gigs and they're great, you know, whether it be a stadium or you know, an arena, and there's a vibe and energy to it. But man, when you just see him play, and that whole, and like I said, Sting was great for me too. I'll be honest with you, I didn't catch the whole thing. I went back, I checked out Sting, but the end for me. And then I got to also say too, you know, for his melancholy and appropriate of the tune, when he came up with the "Wear Your Mask" thing at the end, was just, you know, he had the old tagline coming out at the end. I thought was really really appropriate. Also, do you catch that?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, and it looks like you came prepared. You got your
I came prepared.
You got your own mask.
I'm scared of myself. Yeah. You know, I don't want to get myself sick. But being a trumpet player, you know, you got to do one of these. I just breathe and the whole thing sucked in. Okay, I won't be doing that. I almost swallowed the freaking mask. Okay. Now I know. Now I know why I'm dangerous to myself.
Yeah, right.
I get a kick out of people wearing a mask like this. You see this?
Oh yeah. And the funniest is this: the people that are working in the stores that are telling you to wear the mask that are wearing it under their chin.
I'm safe. I'm safe. Come over here and give me a kiss. I know it's just a mess, but it's the truth, man. Wear your masks. You know, you're protecting yourself, and you're protecting. You know, you're not really protecting yourself. You're doing it for the, you know, for everybody else around you, man. It's
the greater good.
You know.
Yeah.
You don't need these heavy gloves, though. I guess this is a little bit too heavy. Anyway, enough of monkeying around here. Next week, this week we're very fortunate to have the great Justin Fabus with us. He's a good friend of mine, and we're going to have him come up next week. I've been getting a lot of emails. I don't know how you feel about this, Stephen. You probably got a few too. A lot of students are asking me to do a little more playing. So I don't know if we're going to have a guest. We'll announce it probably in the next couple of days. If we're going to have a guest next week, or if it's just going to be more of a playing thing. But I always feel guilty playing too much when I have such great people hanging out with me, yourself included, Stephen. So, you know, we'll sort it out, I guess, right?
Yeah, man. It's we've been getting a lot of great feedback, and actually, before we get too far into it, that's one of the reasons why we were a little bit late. Is we've gotten such great feedback that this is the first week that we are actually simulcasting.
That's a big word for a trumpet player.
Yeah, I practiced it. It's on a Post-it note on the monitor. But
good job.
But yeah, so we're actually live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, Periscope. So that's why, for those people that are watching, on the comments on the left-hand side, we've got comments coming in from all the different platforms. So hopefully you guys will dig it, and hopefully it won't break.
Awesome. Yeah, and you know, whoever's out there, have some comments ready, and we'll be answering questions and stuff. And also, Stephen, there's something on YouTube that you got that there's a button that, what were you saying about that earlier? Subscribe or something like that?
Yeah, it's basically, even though we're simulcasting, just so you guys know, it is helpful, and it doesn't cost anything. But if you guys do subscribe to the channels, it is very beneficial. It actually helps to have the show exposed in the different algorithms within YouTube. And obviously, if you're on Carl's Facebook page, also, the likes do help. Not that we want to live in a world of likes, but it's the reality of our quarantined musician situation. So the subscribe button and the likes do help. So I will be the guy that asks you for them. So thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And, last week we had a great guest, the great Crystal Talafaro from Billy Joel's band. And she was wonderful to have. And I like having different artists, singers. And I had a week before that, we had Trent Austin, great trumpet player. He owns a store in Kansas City, brass and wood, actually a brass trumpet store. So we're trying to change it up a little bit. And this week we went totally opposite. We went a pop singer, songwriter. And I'd like to talk about him for a second before we bring him on. But, he's a good friend of mine. And he, as I see, whenever I introduce to people, I always do this. I get it. It's like I have a baseball in my hand, getting ready to throw a pitch. So yeah, man, he's a good dude. I met him a long time ago. He's an unbelievable singer and songwriter. His name's Justin Fabus. And in 2016, he had a self-titled debut album. It soared to top 3 on iTunes country albums chart. So it did very well. Justin's talents are mass. He's a big mass appeal, man. Was recognized by the CMA Music Festival, and they honored him as an emerging artist. So that was a pretty amazing thing. And I think we have some video to show that. You want to throw that video out there, Stephen?
Yep, here we go.
Check him out.
Here with me, I've got Justin Fabus, who is performing for the first time officially affiliated with CMA Fest.
It's a dream come true to be here with so many amazing artists, guys like Garth Brooks and Blake Shelton. I mean, the list just goes on and on. To be on that list with those guys, it's unreal. There's a fine line between a reckless and crazy, and I'm pushing it most of the time. I would say if I can, but it's not who I am. Love being here in Nashville. Everybody's being really, really kind, very welcoming. Being an emerging artist for the CMA is an honor, and to have this opportunity is unbelievable. So thank you all so much for all your support and coming out and seeing me. I really appreciate it.
Pretty cool video, huh? Since then, he's opened for some of the biggest names in the industry, including Lady Antebellum, Sam Hunt, Dierks Bentley, Randy Houser. I mentioned his 2016 self-titled debut album. Again, it went to number 3. Followed in 2017, he actually recorded a recording called Remedy. And actually, I got the pleasure, the guy in the green shirt, got the pleasure of recording a track with him on that. So that was really fun. He has toured throughout the country, selling out venues to really enthusiastic fans. Multiple times he's done this. And, he's got such a great work ethic. And he also he has built a really fine, solid band that he tours with. So you want to check these guys out. Presently, he just came out with a single called Forever I Do. It's out now and selling pretty well, which is a great thing. So if you don't have it, check it out. Go get it. It's a real pretty tune, and it's dedicated to his beautiful fiance. So that's nice. He's a nice guy, And sometimes we have nice guys. I'm not one of them. For all his accomplishments, though, he's really down to earth. He's an approachable, humble, and hungry guy, which I really feel is a recipe for greatness. So without further ado, let's say hello to my friend, Justin Fabus.
My friend, how are you?
My man, what's going on over there?
I'm doing well. Hey, cheers to you. Cheers to Steven, everybody out there watching. To you, health. Thank you for having me. And the check's in the mail. All the kind things you said.
You better have a lot of zeros, man. If it starts with 0, though, there's a problem. Oh, yeah. Well, talking about checks in the mail, man, I'll tell you what, how you making out? You're sitting there in your 4 walls. It's hard to kind of get out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm so excited to be here. We get to drink on a Tuesday night together. So
yeah, well, it's about to hang. This whole thing, whether it be, my old man had a thing years ago. It's like, he didn't drink at all. And when I was younger, when I was really young, man, it was always about making the hang. We used to call guys like Hang Monster, and whenever you and I, Justin, would hook up, it was always about the hang. It's just, it's a sociable kind of positive thing. So we appreciate you coming, man.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Cool. And so you're in Pittsburgh, correct?
I am, yeah.
You're born and bred there?
Born and bred here. It's in almost the middle of May and it's freezing. So it's the way Pittsburgh is.
Well, hopefully turn around,
Yeah,
hopefully I know. Turn around. But yeah, no, you've been keeping busy. We know I've been keeping tabs of you, and it's really cool. I've been following from 2016 to present. And there's been a real nice curve. It's been very organic too, with the way you write and play and how your band's evolved. And so we're going to hit on a couple of these things. Actually, let's just play a 10-question game. I'm going to throw you some questions out and we'll just talk about them. And, for the fans at home there, you have questions, hit us up. Me and Justin can't see them. That's where Steven comes in with the technology. So Steven will feed them to us. All right, Steven?
I'm on it.
So he's gone. He's sleeping
already.
I was using my cough button.
Are we boring you?
I hadn't had a chance to fill my solo cup yet.
I gotcha. All right. Well, so I'm going to fire one out at you. I always hit everybody with the same one. So what got you started in this crazy business? What got you going, Justin, on this from the beginning?
My grandparents were huge fans of music. Just, always surrounded me with great music. You'll appreciate this, like great artists like Louis Armstrong.
Oh, sure.
Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin.
Louis Armstrong. Wait, where is he? Oh, he's right back there.
There it is, old Satchmo. Yeah, absolutely. Listening to songs like Lucky Old Son and, Blueberry Hill and
Blueberry Hill. Yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, so, I was very fortunate. I had a great education when it came to growing up on great music. And those guys. And then, my mom turned me on to guys like Billy Joel and Bruce Springsteen. And, and to be honest, I'm a musician today because of Billy, because, he's definitely the reason why I became a musician, definitely my idol. So, I have a lot to thank him for sure.
That's great to know. It's amazing how he's touched so many people across the board, whether it be classical musicians, pop musicians, folk musicians, jazz musicians. And that's kind of good music. I think there's two types of music, good and bad. And what separates the two is substance. If you have intent and purpose. And obviously, don't get me wrong, good chord changes and melodies and lyrics go a long way too. But, when you really break it down, if it moved a person, what genre, whether it be even, spoken word or hip hop or country or pop, it all tells a story in an effective way. And I think Billy's a Gershwin of our time. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, and again, I'm not blowing smoke, but one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, especially this early into the mix after Crystal, is because, yes, you're coming out of the Billy head and you're kind of putting a country spin on it. And like I said, it's been organic and I've seen it kind of grow since I've known you. So yeah, man, that's a great answer to that question. So your grandparents really, and your mom really helped you out with.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, and I have to say, it kind of set me up for failure coming on after Crystal. I mean, there's musicians and then there's monster musicians, and her, she's definitely a monster musician, just like yourself. So it's an honor just to kind of be, on the sidelines here close to you guys. So
bro, it's good to have you, man. You're part of the family. And yeah, Crystal, she's an anomaly, man. She's on a different plane. There's one Crystal Telefaro, and,
she's a monster.
There's one Justin, everybody would say there's one Justin and there's one guy, fat guy that plays trumpet in a green shirt right now. I think I'm Steven, are you wearing a green shirt? He's a lot skinnier than I am though too.
So, no green shirt
cool.
Today.
What do you got on there, tough guy? You have your Speedo on?
Yep, got my Speedo. That's why I'm not on camera right now.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? That goes to the next question, not the Speedo.
Right.
That goes to the next question, Justin. So let's talk about your Billy Joel connection and how you and I met and your connection with the band. And I know how it went, but I always like to hear other people's view. And, people out there don't know how, this whole connection happened.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, from what I can remember, I mean, is you taking my first breath, I've been listening to Billy Joel music, So, and I was telling you this story. It's like, growing up, we didn't have YouTube.
Yeah.
So we couldn't just turn on YouTube and watch a concert of Billy Joel, whether it be, live at Yankee Stadium or live from Long Island. We had to have the VHS tapes.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I did. I didn't really go out and play and do that. I sat and listened to cassette tapes and 45s and watch VHS tapes of Billy Joel, jumping off his piano and climbing up curtains and, trying to emulate that and, wanting to play piano and so forth. And when I was in elementary school and in middle school music class, they didn't offer piano. So I was kind of screwed. So I was like, what should I learn? So I thought, God, Mark Rivera is such a badass on saxophone.
Yes.
I'm going to learn a saxophone. So that was the first instrument I started to learn to play.
I didn't know that. I had no idea. Really?
Yeah. So, and then I end up trying to learn piano and it just didn't work out. And I end up wanting to write songs and be a guitar player. So I ended up gravitating more towards the guitar and that, but I started with saxophone and unfortunately I can't play saxophone now, but I thought, I'm a great musician.
Yeah.
I'll be able to pick up a saxophone. I'll
Especially
be able to
when
play
you're
it.
young too, right? When you're young, you say, no problem. I got this.
Right. So a couple years ago, I got my hands on a saxophone and it's been probably, 20 years since I played the sax. And I thought, it'd be like riding a bike. No, like I was a complete jag off the thing, the whole breathing techniques and everything out the window. So, I have so much respect for you as a musician and as a person. And even more after that situation, I thought, man, I'm going to call Carl and be like, hey, brother, listen to this. And yeah, nothing came out.
It didn't happen though, bro. What happened?
Yeah. So I stuck to the guitar.
Well, I'm glad you did, man, because it's working out for you,
Thank you.
It's working out for you. And, talking of which, you're a very approachable, humble guy. And I know a lot of your fans know that, and a lot of your new fans may not know that, but you're very approachable. To the point is, I like to say, I remember Billy Joel's piano tech, who's been with the band over 30 something years. And he's an integral part of the organization. Wayne Williams mentioned to me, he goes, man, this guy I met, I think when Billy was doing correct me if I'm wrong, Billy was doing was the clinic thing he was doing when you met Wayne?
Yeah. So he
solo piano.
He was doing like a one-offer. He was doing like kind of like a master class for the New Yorker magazine in New York.
Okay.
And prior to that, I had never been to New York City.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
I somehow got my hands, and they were only like giving out 100 tickets. And somehow I got my hands on a ticket. So I remember it was on a Sunday afternoon. I remember just jumping in my car, driving to New York for the first time, not knowing where the hell I was going.
Awesome.
And going to the going to this New Yorker festival, and Billy was doing like this hour thing where he was doing like this master class where he was being interviewed by the New Yorker and playing a couple songs. And afterwards, I saw Wayne, which I never met Wayne before, but I knew of Wayne from watching like the live Leningrad VHS and, Billy's crowd surfing, and Wayne's there trying to get him,
Sure.
So I knew of Wayne by just, knowing things of Billy and the band. So I went up to him and said, hey, are you Wayne Williams? He said, yeah. So I said, I'm a fan of yours too. And we just started talking and but with Wayne, he's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
He was kind of taken back that I, knew who he was and wanted to talk to him. And we just kind of like talked for a little bit. And he said, oh, here, before you leave. So we talked for a couple minutes. We took a picture together. And I was about to leave. He said, hey, before you leave, here. So he goes in this box. And I never really told anybody this story before. He goes in the box.
Oh,
he pulls out one of Billy's harmonica.
Yeah.
And he hands me Billy's harmonica. He said, there might be a little smuts on it. He did this at the garden a couple of days ago, but here you go, buddy. And of course, me, I was like, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I stole this one. He wants to give it to me. Sorry, Wayne. No, I'm kidding. No, it's cool. I mean, because he doesn't really reuse them. But it's right. That is you're going to be buried with that harmonica probably.
Yeah. I mean, it is like I cherish that thing.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that's how I met Wayne. And flash forward, I think it was maybe a year later, you guys were coming to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I'm going to stop you here. Wayne already. The crew guys they're not. The band is secondary. The crew guys are the guys that make it happen. So I remember coming to a gig and Wayne saying, we were getting ready to come, I guess, to Pittsburgh is where, right?
Yeah.
And him telling me, man, this dude I met, you got to check him out. His name's Justin Fabus. He's got a lot going on. And he was like, immediately, he was like your best fan. And I'll go ahead. I'm sorry. But I remember already I knew of you. And I'm like, oh, I checked you out. I pulled up, your site and everything. It's cool.
Yeah. So about a year later, and I hadn't talked to Wayne since then, I mean, I hadn't, so you guys were coming to Pittsburgh and of course, I was going to go to the show and, playing PNC Park, it was the first time Billy was playing PNC Park.
Pirates were there, right? That was Pirates place. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a fun gig.
Yeah. It's considered the most beautiful stadium out of all the, all the stadiums, baseball stadiums. So, or I should say park. So, it was very cool. And it was 4th of July weekend. So Billy, you guys were playing on Friday and Chesney was playing on Saturday.
Kenny played with us that night too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There was big buzz, that Chesney was going to come out with you guys because Chesney's a big fan of you guys. So, yeah.
I blow on things. Come on.
The city was on fire that weekend. You know what I mean? Because it's like you got Billy Joel, and then you have Kenny Chesney. I mean, you got the best of both worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and the weather was. I remember it like poured a little bit right before you guys went on, and you had Charlie Puth opening up for you.
That's right.
Well,
Puth got poofed, man. He got poofed.
Yeah.
Right? That was the gig he didn't get to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie. Hey, Charlie, sorry.
And I was surprised. And what was funny is that, like, it wasn't billed, as an opener. It was just supposed, and I think it was just doing a couple on like a surprise, on some of the, the stadium gigs, park gigs. So and all the times I saw Billy, he never had an opener.
Yeah.
When I saw him, so that was pretty cool. So the whole city was on fire, and I remember thinking, man, I was so grateful for what Wayne did. He didn't have to do that. First of all, he didn't have to go out his way to sit and talk to me. He didn't have to, to go out of his way to be so kind. A lot of times people, they go in, they do their thing, and they want to get the hell out of there. And he had to work. And I was keeping him from his work because he's got to break down the piano. He's got to, he's got a lot to do.
Yeah.
So I was very grateful for that, and I wanted to do something, to thank him. You know what I mean?
That was cool.
And so it was literally like the night before the show, and I'm thinking, man, I gotta get to him somehow. How am I gonna, God, there's no way. There's got 1,000 things he's gonna be doing. It's a big show. It's, he's Billy Joel band. So I luckily came across. I was able to, somehow get your info, and I sent you an email.
Yeah.
Your info, and it was the night before. And I just, something I've always done in my career is just, I'm always just going to be me. I'm always going to be honest, and I'm just going to, excuse my language, throw my balls against the wall.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? I might as well take a swing. You can't hit the ball without swinging the bat.
Yeah, man.
So, and I think a lot of people are kind of nervous to put themselves out there because they don't want to be rejected. But it's like, hey, you never know until you try.
Yeah.
So I was luckily enough to come across your email address, and I sent you an email and just was like, hey man, this is who I am. Is there any way, that, you could get me in touch with Wayne? I have something for me, did this really nice thing for me. And luckily enough, you being, the sweetheart and the great guy that you are, and that's why we're friends today. I know I got to pump you up because the people I got
an image, bro. I got to be a hard ass.
Well, when I called you, yeah.
Yeah.
But, you being the great guy that you are, you text me, like that day of the show, and was like, hey man, got your message. That's awesome. we end up meeting up before you guys went on, and
Sure.
me, you, and Wayne, and I got Wayne a flask.
He still has that flask, dude.
That's
It's in
awesome. I
his
love
road
that.
case. And the
Yeah.
reason I know it's there is we have a road, because Wayne also helps me out with my horns. And we have many road cases on the side of the stage, and Wayne and I always get in trouble and laughing. And in one of the draws, man, there is still that flask, and it just is like, that's Justin's. And he,
Yeah.
and he has things in there from back when he was doing even a Russia thing, man. That's how old this case is. I mean, you look at it, it's falling apart. So you made the road case because, again,
I'm honored.
sincere and honest. There was sincere and honesty. And Wayne, I remember, like I said, I was already hip to your name. And so when you hit me with that thing, I remember, asking Wayne, I'm like, man, it's Justin. He goes, oh yeah, that was the guy. And it was just kind of a cool thing. So
yeah. And so we got, and that's kind of how me and you started our relationship. We stayed in touch after that. And I end up coming to the Garden, I think, the next show. And I had never been to the Garden.
cool.
First time was at the Garden, and I got to hang out with you and Wayne. And I brought you guys. Do you remember what I brought you and Wayne? If you want to tell everybody.
That's in my road case, on the bottom of my road case somewhere. A terrible towel from Pittsburgh. Yeah, man. Yeah. That was cool. It's the thought that counts.
Yeah. I knew, like, man, these New York guys are gonna kill me.
Yeah, a little terrible. That was cool though, man.
I thought, like, hey, at least you can
my shoes.
You can use your head, wipe your head off. Next time you play Pittsburgh, you can twirl that thing.
I'm gonna need that thing.
Go, and I'm in waiting. I'm in keeping my fingers crossed when you guys are gonna come back to Pittsburgh. So
yeah. Well, it's the time is crazy, man. Who knows when who knows when society, even hockey and baseball and football. But man, we just got to stay strong, all of us, and we'll all get through this, and
right,
everybody stay healthy and happy. But yeah, I mean, it's the healthy happiness. Salute. Steven, speaking of healthy and happy, are you still there, or are you falling asleep on us?
I'm here. Look at this. I can put all three of us on the same screen. Look how fancy we are.
Yeah. Well, with our quarantine hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Thursday, thank God, man. That's out of control. So that's how we met. And throughout the years, so you came to the Garden, we hung at the Garden. And one of the things that I like to talk, especially about your fans and just musos and even people who are not, musically inclined or just into the music. One of the things I'm really into is you have a very loyal following, but you're also very loyal. And I learned this from Billy and the late great Maynard Ferguson, jazz trumpet player. You're very loyal with your band and your musicians. You have loyalty, and I've hung with your band in Chicago, and they're very loyal to you, it seems like. I've seen it firsthand. So, when you're touring and, we fast forward this, you were touring then, but what's the secret to keeping together your loyalty and your band? I mean, that's a hard thing, especially these days, man.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I gotta, give credit to where credit's due is kind of just learn, even though, I didn't know Billy at all, back then, or I don't know Billy, personally, learning from him, growing up and watching his interviews and
examples,
how loyal he was. Yeah. By how loyal he was to his band, and how important it was that he had his band on his albums.
Yeah.
And, when I put the Remedy album out, I used my band.
Yeah.
Prior to that, the first album, I didn't use my band, because I had people chirping in my ear saying, you got to use studio guys. You got to use the best in Nashville. You got to use these producers. And, the songs came out good. Don't get me wrong. I'm very proud of those songs, but it didn't have the feel. It didn't have the passion, because, I'm more known as a live performer. I don't give a shit about the auto tunes and all the tracks and all that bullshit.
You're honest. Yeah.
Yeah. What you see is what you get. And I felt like, I know I lost some of that when I put the first album out, because it didn't have that live feel. It didn't have that gel. And, I think that's why my band members that I have are so loyal to me, because I don't want to use hired guns. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no.
You know, those and there's all different kinds of musicians. There's studio guys who are monsters in the studios,
Sure.
and then there's live guns. You know, there's two different things.
Totally.
And you can contest this, but and so, you know, you lose a little bit here and there, but you know, there's that trust factor of going out on stage knowing, well, if I slip a little bit, you know, if I was supposed
has
to
your back.
yeah, like if I was supposed to come in at this measure, or I was supposed to come in on this line or this verse, if I don't, I know my guitarist is going to throw in an extra fill or an extra solo.
Absolutely.
Or, you know that. So when you got hired guns that you just say, okay, learn these songs, I'll see you at the gig, or have one rehearsal prior, you know, if you're a music fan, you start to pick up on that. You know, you start to see like there's no camaraderie. Like, you know, that's why, you know, and I'm not blowing smoke, you know, you guys, you know, the Billy Joel band is in my opinion, you know, the best band out there.
Oh, thank you, man.
Because, you know, you're bouncing off each other every show. You know, a great example. Who else plays the Garden every freaking month?
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I, you know, I try not to take it for granted. Sometimes, you know, getting on a plane and, you know, I always say I don't get paid to play. I get paid to travel. You know,
Right.
and you get to the gig, and it's like, oh, I don't, you know, 12-hour travel day or something, you know,
Right.
and then you get to the gig, it's like, and then the band just gels, and all the personalities. I look to my right, and there's Crystal and Mark. I look in front of me, and there's Mike's shiny head. And I look across the stage, and there's Tommy and Dave, and everybody's, like you said, everybody's got their back, and Billy loves that, you know, and so that is a very, you know, it's a conducive thing for especially a frontman, an artist, you know. You know, when I was with Maynard Ferguson, jazz trumpet player, we go into a studio record, and we would not, a lot of times, not record anything new in a studio unless it was road proven. We play these charts and these tunes for a month or two prior to make sure they worked, and then go in the studio. It's the same thing, kind of like at the Garden, but you have that with your guys. I noticed that. That was one of the things I was like, cool, your guitar player, I hung with him. Your whole band's good. They're good cats, man. So that's your secret. That's
I mean, it's absolutely, it's just, you know, going back to like how important it is to have guys that have your back is, when we were in, and I don't know if I ever told you this story, but when we were in Chicago after the Wrigley Field show,
that was another nice baseball field. Wrigley,
yeah,
right,
I mean,
Steven?
Yeah, that was, you know, yeah, I think, you know, next to the Garden, don't get me wrong, because I think the Garden's the greatest arena. You know, it's on my bucket list to play one day.
Yeah, man.
But next to that, you know, I think my favorite Billy show was Wrigley Field. You know, next to those Garden shows, because there's just something in the air. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the vibe. You know what I mean? I don't know what it was. You know, maybe it was like, you know, prior to that, like us hanging in the dugout. You know what I mean? You know, and having some drinks with you and just hanging out. But I just think it was the whole vibe. And then afterwards we got to hang out back at the hotel bar. Yeah. And I don't know if I ever told you the story, but, you know, we're all having a couple drinks, you know, everybody's having a good time.
Us? No, not us. No.
And like, I was trying to pace myself because I'm thinking, okay, you know, my band's here. I got to make sure they don't do anything crazy. You know, I don't want the guys.
You were on the road. Your band was on the road too. Let's go back. You were in the middle of a tour.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a tour. So we played, you know, we were playing a country venue the next day, you know what I mean? So I knew I couldn't get all crazy, you know what I mean? Because I know if I, you know, personally, if I drink too much the night before, my vocals are shot.
You're out there for a gig. You're not out there to drink.
Right. And also, it was like the first time I was really hanging out with the whole band.
Yeah.
So I was like, and my guys were so geeked, you know what I mean? Like,
both fans were hanging. We were all both
hanging, you know, and it was the first time, you know, and my guys, even though they were basically, you know, besides my, you know, my guitarist is older. He's in his early 50s, but the other guys in my band were just out of college, and they all went to college, you know, for music. So, you know, to be huge Billy Joel fans, to go to Wrigley Field, first time you ever see Billy Joel, you're hanging in the Wrigley dugouts, you know, and then to hang out, you know, with the band afterwards. You know, I was the coolest boss. You know, you talk about Billy being your boss. I was like the coolest boss.
You got points on there.
Yeah, I got points big times. But at the same token, I was like, okay, you know, I don't want to make an ass out of ourselves. You know what I mean? Get out of the hotel or something. Yeah, like look bad. So, you know, we're all throwing some drinks back, and we're feeling pretty good. So I was trying to learn like everybody's drink, because I was like trying to buy, I wanted to be, I'll get you Tommy drinks, I Kettle One vodkas, and I mean, so
you remember? Wow. Okay.
yeah. So we're all drinking it, and my guitarist, Miguel Garcia, he sometimes like drinks a little bit too much, has a great time. I love him to death. So he's had a couple drinks, and he's looking at Tommy, and I know he's about to say something. Guitar players, they have that certain language.
Whole vibe, yeah.
Yeah. So we're all feeling pretty good, and he goes, Tommy, you're pretty good on the guitar. And like everybody in the room just went, like, you could stop. I'm thinking, oh my God, you just told Billy Joel's guitar player that he's pretty good. Yeah. I'm thinking, oh my God. So, and Tommy, like true Tommy fashion, he goes, well, you can't suck to be in this freaking band. And everybody's just like, he's smart, let's get a drink. You know what I mean? And after that, it was like, okay, part essential. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, it was like, and to this day, I jag Miguel, like, yeah, have another drink. Tell the guitarist from the Billy Joel band, he's, Tommy Vines, like, he's pretty good. You know what I mean?
I love when people say, you know what, you're pretty good. I'm like, that's what I'm shooting for. I'm shooting for pretty.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I said, that's what I'm shooting for. It's pretty funny though. And that's a typical one-liner on South Shore, Long Island. I could say, because I'm from South Shore, Long Island. We're from the same area. That's a typical, okay. He's tongue in cheek. That's what Tommy is. What you see is what you get, like you. It's great, man.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a special night for sure. And then, and I have to give thanks to Steven. Like, Steven came to the show the next day, because you guys were shipping out like early the next morning.
Sure.
And because I know we barely got up the next morning, even though we try to pace ourselves, But and Steven came for the whole show, which I Steven, thank you. That was so awesome. And I know the guys in the band really appreciated that, So
it was cool. A good time. It was it was pretty cool to see, that particular venue that you guys were playing in. For people that don't know it, it was actually a country venue in Chicago that was like a block away from Wrigley. So on a Friday and Saturday night, that area is just, it's like New Orleans, but it was pretty cool, because if you play a live show in a venue in that area and you lose the crowd, it's your worst nightmare. But it was really cool to see you in that environment, because you had them from the get-go.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. And I was warned that before we went on stage, like, hey, if you lose the crowd, you're screwed.
Yep.
Like, they'll boo you off. And so I definitely pulled the guys aside and said, hey, whatever we got to turn it up a little bit more, because because everybody was so, geeked about the whole weekend, because Billy played Friday night, and then Fall Out Boy played Saturday night.
Oh, that's right.
And we went on like an hour after Fall Out Boy, because, Wrigley was letting out. So everybody was coming to our show after the Fall Out Boy and was there for the weekend for the Billy show. So it was like, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's a great story, and that's what separates a lot of men from the boys, or the girls from the women, is when you're sitting in the studio, you can get away with certain things, auto-tune, retake things, but then you go on a road and you have a live band and you're knocking it out night after night. That really separates, the artist from the amateur. Right. So, Steven, I remember Steven calling me saying, man, your boy, he sounds great on record, but man, he's doing it. He got a tough, people are coming out from that concert at Wrigley, and, you held him. So, that's another thing I remembered about you. And talking about that, what I know you and I have talked about, in jest and texting and stuff like this. I have it here in Florida. It's interesting. I'm in St. Pete, Tampa area, Florida. Being from New York, very close to New York City, a half hour from New York City, being a small fish in a big pond there, and coming here, I'm still a small fish. I wish I was small. My last name's Fisher. I'm just too big. I'm fat. That's the problem. But being here in Tampa too, it's interesting. Like different cities have demographics, and I make my living, even if it wasn't without Billy, traveling. And you and I have like touched on the subject. Maybe you want to touch on this. What made you leave your local Pittsburgh scene, the bar scene, and start successfully touring? I know that's that's an objective you want, but was there a deciding factor on that? And how do you do that? How do you bridge that gap?
Yeah, I mean, to put it the best way is I didn't want to be a local yokel.
There it is. Yeah.
And and nothing against,
Sure.
no disrespect
with that. Yeah.
to the local musicians. Pittsburgh's not really a music town.
Yeah.
It's a sports town. Like we love our sports. So Pittsburgh's cool music scene if you're just trying to play like the local bars and have a good time and want to play covers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I knew that for me to really, have a career and really try to take it to the next level, that I had to get out of Pittsburgh, and I love Pittsburgh. I live in Pittsburgh and I have a place in Pittsburgh and my fiance has a place in Atlanta. So we're back and forth from Pittsburgh and Atlanta.
Okay.
And I love Pittsburgh. I always will. It's where I came from. But I knew that there was no way that I was because you can get stuck. You can get stuck as a local yokel.
Yeah.
And it can really hurt your career. Where you're like, where you think like, man, I'm killing it. I'm selling out on, bars in Pittsburgh and blah, 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 blah. And, it wasn't for me. And a lot of people, and to this day will say to me like, oh, you're a country guy. Why haven't you moved to Nashville? You're not going to make it unless you move to Nashville. And couldn't be further from the truth. Because, Nashville is a whole different monster than it was 5 years ago, than it was 10 years ago, than it was 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
So I remember when I first went down to Nashville, every bar you went into, you heard Johnny Cash and you heard, Charlie Pride and Merle Haggard songs. And now when you go to Nashville, you don't hear any of those songs.
Wow.
I mean, they don't play the old country.
Yeah.
It's more today's country or it's pop music and
there's a crossover there. Whereas
right, exactly. And everybody's like, well, you're never going to make it as a country musician if you don't live in Nashville, which, like I say, couldn't be further from the truth, because if you go to my opinion has always been when it comes to Nashville is I want to be invited to Nashville. I want people like the big guns from Nashville to say, come down, and that's why I did the whole, CMA Fest, and I became, luckily I was, was chosen to be a CMA member, and, and I had the honor of being a CMA emerging artist. I wanted to work at it. So I went to Nashville, calling me to come to Nashville instead of just showing up to Nashville and saying, hey, I'm here, put me on stage, no, because I heard too many horror stories about everybody saying, oh, I can go to Nashville. I'm going to be the next big thing because I just need to go to Nashville. They went to Nashville, and 6 years later, they were back in Pittsburgh, and it just killed their dreams, and it just deflated them, and they were done. I'd rather be a big fish in a small pond instead of being, the small fish in a big pond. Yeah. So there's a million guys knocking on that door.
Sure.
And I got some great advice when I was starting out was, be the biggest thing, when it comes to Pittsburgh or your surrounding areas, and then go to Nashville, then go to New York, then go, like, check off the boxes in your surrounding areas, accomplish those things, make a name for yourself, then hit Nashville.
Yep.
I've always been my mentality. I'm not the best singer. I'm not the best songwriter. I'm never going to be the best guitar player, but I promise you, I'll outwork everyone next to me, and that's always been I'll outwork you, and that's that kind of been my live show mentality is I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do, like the mentality of Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen, guys that do 2-hour, 3-hour shows.
Work ethics.
Yeah. I'm just going to punch you in the mouth nonstop.
Yeah.
And take it from there.
That's great, man. No, it's apparent the way you carry yourself in your band, and that's a great cap to that question. And it's funny because it's just not. And this is now we're going to get into stereotypes of music, but it's just not. A country guy going to Nashville. I can't tell you how many jazz guys from Texas moved to New York. I lived in Brooklyn for a number of years. My friend owned a building in Brooklyn, and I was like the super of this building. It was like 6 apartments, and we had a thing with jazz college. Actually, it was funny because I just did a clinic masterclass at University of North Texas. And it's funny, in the middle of Texas, you'd think it was all country. They have one of the best jazz programs in the country, University of North Texas. And a lot of these guys, you get out of school, I'm going to make it in New York. And they'd come, and man, I'd rent these apartments to these UNT guys, and they'd either really flourish and do great, or they'd sit in a cocoon and they'd be out of town in 2 weeks, a month. I was countless guys. So, it's the same thing, you want to be a pop guy or a metal guy, you go to LA, so it's funny how the stereotype works, but it's just the same thing. It's just, the stereotype of, or the style of the music.
Right.
So
And it's nothing against like those certain people that want to do that stuff.
Sure.
It's cool, be the best at that. It's just not for me. It's not what I want.
I agree.
You know what I mean? It's like I said, nothing to it. Hey, be the best guy in your city, be the best cover singer, whatever.
Sure.
If you're going to do it, you might as well do it away. It just wasn't my route. It's nothing to it.
Yeah. Same thing. It's funny because I come back to Tampa now, and it's a great little town. It's cool. I'm spoiled too, because I know what the music is, and there's some great musicians, and it's just, there's nothing against it. I just choose, if I'm going to go out and play now, it's going to be because A, I love it, or B, it's slam. And so it's either one of those two. So that being said, the stereotypes, when I first heard you and your first record, and even Remedy, it had like a pop vibe to it, but still had a country kind of blue collar, for lack of a better word, blue collar Pittsburgh thing, which I know you're really about. And I certainly some of your interviews, like, like some of the devout country people are like, well, he's not from the country of Tennessee, or, he's a city slicker, and so I know you've had some discourse with people with that, not discourse, but, you've had to say, listen, man, I'm being honest as I can. It's the same thing for, again, jazz guys. Well, you're not from New Orleans, or you're not from New York, or you're not from Chicago. Like I said, you got great musicians all around. It doesn't matter where they're from. It's what they're dealing with. So, I love the comment in one of your interviews that you talk about Pittsburgh and your upbringing, and, that it's a very hard-working blue-collar town, and country is actually a cool thing there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. I mean, yeah, I get it. I get it to this day. You're from Pittsburgh. It's a city. How can you sing country music?
Yeah.
And like one of the things I tell people all the time, like, I'm not a fan of the word genre, because you could easily say that the Billy Joel song Allentown is a country song.
Yeah.
And Billy said in numerous interviews, when he's written songs, when he's performed songs, he's trying to emulate somebody else, because he's always not a big fan of his own voice.
Correct.
So there's a lot of songs on those early albums, that he was going for a country vibe,
yeah.
And there's country, or, Dolly Parton, covered Traveling Prayer off the Piano Man album. I mean, like
Shameless, Garth Brooks.
Shameless, Garth Brooks, #1 massive, you go to every country bar, you hear people singing Shameless. And the terrible thing is, a lot of those guys don't know it's a Billy Joel song.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
It's a Ballad of Billy the Kid. We play it. I'm laughing my head off in the middle of Midtown Manhattan. We're playing Ballad of Billy the Kid.
Exactly. What I mean? It's just, so I all the time, I get it all the time. Like, how can you be a country singer from Pittsburgh? Like, how's that work? It's like, well, it doesn't, country music is blue collar music. I mean, it's hard work and music, and it doesn't get more blue collar than Pittsburgh, than New York City, I mean? Like, so it's like, I'm never gonna, and I say this all the time, I'm like a broken record. I'm never gonna write songs that I haven't experienced, or I don't know anything about. Like,
cool.
You know me well enough. If I said, hey, Carl, I need your advice, listen to this new song, and it's about me sitting on a John Deere tractor, on the farm. Again, nothing wrong with those songs, nothing wrong with those people that do those things. It's just not me.
Yeah.
So I think the reason why I have the fan base that I have, and I have, the people following me, and the great fan base that I have, is because they know it's real, and know it's true. Like, I'm never going to bullshit them. I think when it comes to your fans, they're the first ones that's going to tell you, nah, that don't work.
Yeah.
What I mean?
It runs all together, man. It's your honesty and the music, whether it be pop or, stylistically. Talk about me. I'm a jazz guy, and I'm playing in a piano player's pop band. It's right. Like, and so, yeah.
But like you said, it works because it's good music. What I mean? Like, the whole genre thing, it's like, hey, if it makes you move, makes you dance, that's good music.
Absolutely.
What I mean? Like, when Johnny Cash came out, when Elvis came out, they said this was the devil's music. Told Johnny Cash, that's not country music. What I mean? So it's like, And now those guys, you know, Johnny Cash is a legend of country music, you know, so
Absolutely.
it's like, just because now, you know, like they say this is what this is now, like who, you know, who knows what's going to be 10 or 15 years down the road.
Well, that's amazing because it leads me to the next question and statement is what made you think on Remedy to have a fat guy in a green shirt play jazz trumpet on a pop country record? You know, I mean, I was very fortunate. I did it here in the studio, in my home studio here. I believe the tune was called Backseat, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
you
that
did
was
fantastic. You killed it. You knocked it out of the park.
Thanks. But man, it was funny because I was like, man, it's like he's like a pop country guy. What the hell does he want me to blow? He's like, you said just play, do your thing. I'm like, do my thing. What do you mean play? And so actually, once I heard it, I kind of knew where you were going with it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, if a lot of people know that song, but what's nice about that record is you have a nice mix of different things that are happening stylistically. That you know, which is a true sense of like you're throwing. I call it. The PG version is just throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah, I mean,
something's going to stick, you know, the other thing.
Right. Yeah. And I apologize.
The other thing hurts, man.
Yeah. I apologize to the younger people that are watching, but but it's true. Like, I never wanted to be one of those artists where every song they put out sounded like the last one.
Okay.
You know, I wanted things to sound different. I wanted just to be in the moment. You know, I love all different genres of music. Yeah. You know, I love country, I love pop, I love rock, I love R&B, I love jazz. So I have a lot of influences, whether it's Billy Joel, whether it's Louis Armstrong, whether it's, you know, Johnny Cash or, you know, the Temptations. I love Motown. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's all great music. So if I can write, you know, a little bit of some of that, if I could put a little bit of some of that in my music, then I'm already ahead of the game.
Good.
You know what I mean? So when Backseat came, my keyboard player at the time, when I hired him in my band, he just got out of college, and he was a trumpet player.
I remember I met him. He came to Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he looks like Jerry Lee Lewis. You know what I mean? You know, so he was studying classical piano, but he played trumpet and, you know, he played bass, you know, and so, you know, he had this idea, and that's another reason why I'm so big on recording with my band. You know, I want them to, you know, fulfill me when it comes to my writing and my songwriting, you know, say, hey, I got this idea. Let me hear, you know, I never tell my guys, like when we're in the studio, like, you know, I have an idea, but it's like, hey, I want you to be you. You know, my guitarist Miguel, it's like he has his own style. Like, I'm never going to tell him to sound like Eddie Van Halen or you know what I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan or something.
Put your own stamp on it. Be you.
Right. It's like, you know, this is kind of what I'm going for, but I want you to put your interpretation on it.
Awesome. Great.
Man. And my keyboard player at the time, you know, he had this idea for this song Backseat. And it was like, you know, we really don't have like a real poppy, you know, like, and we were I wanted to do like we had like a Beatle-esque feel to it because it has like that middle part right before with the organ, right before the trumpet solo. And then we hit the trumpet solo but the verses and the feel has kind of like a Maroon 5 groove, you know, and I've always been a fan of those guys. So it's like, okay, let's go in and let's just go in and just do it. You know, so he had this idea for Backseat, and then we wrote the middle part, and I said, you know, it needs a solo. And I'm thinking, man, I got to get Carl on this song. Oh, cool. You know what I mean? It's like, number one, I wanted you on it because you're my friend. But number two, like, I knew that you would take that song to the next level. And we just had this idea, like, man, let's get a horn on it. You know, like what country artist is putting a horn on a song? Yeah, you know, like really. I just want to do, I want to do what everybody's not doing. You know what I mean? Again, like there's a million songs about drinking beer on your tailgate. Well, I want to do the complete opposite. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, I called you and you were kind enough to want to do it. Fun, man. And you just knocked it out of the park. And you know, when people hear that song, they love it, but people that never heard it before, that heard it for the first time, they don't see the trumpet part coming, you know, at all.
I didn't either until I was like, oh, okay, this is it. All right, let's go.
And like, you know, I knew like me and the guys, like, and that was such a special moment, I know, for my keyboard player because he played trumpet and he had a hard time because sometimes, you know, from what he explained to me, it's very hard to play the trumpet, you know, the breathing technique and it's you have to be very, very strict when it comes to practicing and And I know that was a very special moment, not just for me, but for him to, you know, because we wrote that song together.
Nice.
You know, and to have you play on that,
Oh, cool.
you know, it was a very special moment for the whole band, you know. So thank you.
It was a pleasure, bro. And you know, I'm totally into, you know, the artists, whether any genre, just throwing it out and saying let's try something. And that's and you know, it's even Billy. I mean, it stems from Billy, and Billy learned it from, you know, Ray Charles, you know, a black soul singer playing a country song, you know, right. Ray Charles, you know, didn't expect that, you know, doing America the Beautiful with a country twinge, you know, stuff like that. So the history of it, but you know, I know, you know, the history of the music too, which, you know, is apparent when you hear different tracks on your records. It's really kind of cool to check out.
Yeah, I'm fortunate. You know, it's funny, like having guys in my band with, you know, that went to school for music. I didn't go to school for music. You know, it's all by ear. I just picked it up. So I do things completely backwards to guys that, like, it's me and you, like we do things probably completely backwards to guys that, like, I can't read music. You know what I mean? So it's all like, it's all self-taught. So, you know, when I get in a room with guys that, you know, like some guys in my band that went to school, they're like, how are you doing this? You know, like you're doing it completely backwards.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's all I know.
To the scholastic thing. It's funny because, you know, I wasn't a school guy, but now, you know, I'm a doctor of music, you know, at college. And, you know, I think a lot of that comes, and the reason I bring this up is a lot of that comes from the street smarts and learning how, you know, there's not one correct way to put music together. You know, I had to learn how to read music. I had to learn how to sight read to make a living for myself. But, you know, what you learn in a school is not really necessarily what you're going to learn on a gig.
Right.
And that's what you have. That
different education. Because there's a lot of people that learn in school and they go up on stage and it's like, well, I wasn't taught about this. Like, I can't, and they freeze up and or it's the people you see on stage and they're just kind of one dimensional. They play like they beautifully play.
Sure.
But you need to have everything. It's the total package.
That's why I dig you, man. That's why I dig you, because it's a school, it's an institution. Those kids, not call them kids, those college guys that come out of school, now they're getting the real grits and gravy from, okay, let's go. And that's the difference. So, you know, that's really cool to check out, man. Hey, Steven, did we put you to sleep yet? Because we're rambling over here.
No, I'm sitting here thinking, you know what? I've got about a 15-second clip of that tune if you guys want people to hear it.
Yeah.
Throw it up.
Give me just a second here.
I'll put my mittens on in
case
someone gets hurt.
Put your mittens and mask on.
My cooking mittens.
All right.
Snake.
All right, here we go.
Now here we are and don't know where to go.
I'd love to play you guys more, but YouTube seems to throw a fit about copyright, so that's what we can get away with.
We've gotten in trouble before.
Define trouble.
Remedy record, right? And that's Backseat. But if you haven't heard it, pick up that Remedy record. And obviously 2016 is self-titled Justin Fabus, correct?
Yeah.
It's on iTunes too.
Yeah.
So yeah, check his discography out. It's really, really cool to check out. So now we're talking about this. We're gonna fast forward a little bit. What happened? This is a kind of cool thing I read about, and we talked about it briefly. The situation, for lack of a better word. Actually, before I go on this, Steven, is there any pertinent questions that can come up right now that we can hit that would make sense of what we talked about? Or is it just hellos and stuff? Because we like hellos and hellos work, but is there anything that you could interject that?
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm gonna go left instead of right now.
Yeah, no, you guys kind of answered a couple of the questions as you went. You know, one in particular was related to musical influences, which you guys kind of hit already. So I feel like we got that one covered. And other than that, there's a whole lot of people just hanging out and saying, "Hey."
Awesome. So there are people.
Oh yeah.
Not just us three.
There's people. Oh man. Well, speaking of people and changing gears, so Donnie Wahlberg,
Yeah.
you had a really really cool situation covering New Kids on the Block tune,
Yeah.
and it so if you can talk a little bit about that, and the opening in obviously Pittsburgh, how cool that was. That was a great experience. Another just kind of I have a feeling it's you being organic and honest and throwing spaghetti, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what kind of happened. It was funny, I was thinking about taking some time, and I kind of told you this when I was in Orlando. Um, it was my mom passed of pancreatic cancer in 2000. It would have been November 2018.
Yeah, we're sorry,
And
bro. I know that
yeah,
was rough.
yeah, and
Not
it
easy.
just like yeah, it just it was rough because
Absolutely.
anybody that knows anything about pancreatic cancer, it's rough, my mother just didn't have a easy life prior to that, what I mean? So it's like, one thing after another.
Yeah,
But
God
she was
bless
so
her.
strong, you think like, she's going to beat it, and she was beating it, I mean? The chemo was working. And then just like pancreatic, it hits you like,
Yes.
so, she ended up passing in November of 2018.
Okay.
And I was just kind of fed up with everything. I was just kind of lost and
Shock too, I'm
yeah,
sure. I
yeah,
remember Orlando. Yeah.
yeah. You just kind of, so I needed to get away, I needed to get out and, the tour, like, just was kind of wrapping up after, right when she passed, so I was burned out from that, burned
Sure.
out just from, like watching her suffer. And I remember seeing, Billy was coming to Orlando, and
Yeah.
I messaged you and I was like, hey man, I'm going to come to Orlando. I need to get away. And,
Yeah.
cause
We
like,
know.
no matter what, that's another reason why I love Billy, just his music can just take you away,
Yeah.
and a good example last night, him playing Miami 2017,
Right.
he, even though he's, playing from his home, he had everybody in the palm of his hand.
Always does. It's
You know what I
amazing.
mean? And it's just like, while we're all just sitting in our living rooms.
Yeah.
And, so I had to get away. And I was actually, I came to Orlando, had a great time with you guys. And when I came back to Pittsburgh, I was thinking about just taking some time off because
Hmm.
I was torn nonstop year after year after year because we put out 2 albums and,
It's a lot, man.
it's a lot, as being on the road. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're not at the port yet where we're flying commercial airlines. We're in a 15 passenger van with
You're sticking it out. You're doing real road dog life, bro. Yeah.
6 or 7 guys. And as like, we're not the best smelling dudes. You know what I mean? When you're in a van for 15 hours,
It's not
as
pretty.
much as I love my band, like
Yeah.
sometimes you want to strangle each other because you've been surrounded with them for so
Sure.
long. So, it was just, we were just burnt out. I was just burnt out and I was just going to take some time off. And just like, as I said, like I have so many different, I just love good music, and people think, oh, New Kids on the Block, they're boy bands, I mean, well, they write their own stuff, what I mean? So, I was at my place, it was January of 2019. And I was just listening to music on my iPod, my iPhone Shuffle, and a
You
song
almost got an
called
old school iPod. You almost said
yeah,
iPod.
iPod
I caught
Shuffle.
it.
Yeah, exactly. And the song called 2 in the Morning from the New Kids on the Block, which was on like their comeback album when they finally got back together after not
Okay.
not performing for so long, and that came out in 2008. So it was like 10 or 11
Yeah,
years
it's
old.
older. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember when that came out, and I was like, man, this song's great. Like I hear a country version,
Okay.
So for 10 years, I was just always a fan of this song. And, I respect them, was a fan of their music. So out of all the social media platforms, I prefer Twitter.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
like Twitter. And so I was just from time to time, I'll just kind of tweet like who I'm listening to and ask people, hey, what are you listening to? Or tell people, hey, you should check this song out if you don't. So I tweeted just, hey, listening to New Kids on the Block 2 in the Morning. It screams a country version need to be made. And, so I tweeted it, didn't think anything of it, didn't check my Twitter till later that night. And I had like, the tweet had
It blew up.
it blew up, and I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? So all of a sudden, I'm checking my Twitter, and I have like it's blown up, and so again, back to the point of in the end, if it's good music, it resonates.
Yeah.
My fan base, a lot of the blockheads, which are the new kids on the block fans,
Yeah.
love country music. So I had some blockhead fans, unbeknownst that I knew that.
Wow. Cool.
And a blockhead saw my tweet, tagged Donnie Wahlberg in it. Donnie Wahlberg saw it and responded on Twitter and said, "Hey man, go at it. That was a very special song for me. I wrote it, at a certain, special time, just put all your heart into it."
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was like, I'm again, like I'm one that, I'm going to work at everything I got. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. And I'm a big person, a big, believer of, you gotta go after it. Opportunities only sometimes come once in a lifetime. So I called my band and I said, "Hey, we're going to go into the studio."
Yeah.
And they said, "Okay, what's up? You want to, work on something new? Like, what do you?" I said, "Well, we're going to go in and we're going to cut a New Kids on the Block song." And my guitarist almost hung up on me because he was like, I thought you were going to take some time off. You're talking about. And I said, no, this is what's going on. We're going to go in. Trust me. I have this arrangement in my head and I have this idea. So, unfortunately today, like people want things right away. Yeah. And in the music business, it's not that easy to go in and cut a professional recording and get it out there that quick.
Sure.
Especially when you're doing it from scratch, and especially when you're doing it with real instruments, real musicians, and it's not all fabricated with, computers and stupid, drum machines, stuff like that. So in about 2-3 days, we went in and we arranged it and recorded it.
Okay.
And I put it out real quick before I distributed it to iTunes, stuff like that. I put it out on iTunes because prior to that, the blockheads are very passionate people. Like they will tell you straight up, because they love those guys, because they have a very tight knit relationship. So there was, majority of the people were all for it because, Donnie Wahlberg was behind it. So they were like, okay, you got the blessing. Okay blessing. Yeah. But at the same token, they say, hey, we give you our blessing, but that you don't screw it up, because this is a very important song.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do like a complete copy of it. I wanted to pay homage to it, but I also wanted to put Justin Fabus on it. I wanted to have my spin on it.
Do you? Yeah.
So we went in and we put it out. I actually put it out the night we were in Orlando. I put it out on YouTube to see the response, and it just blew up. And Donnie Wahlberg loved it, gave me the thumbs up. So I said, okay, I think we got to really put it out and do a full court press, put it on iTunes and distribute it. So we put it out there, and so about a month or two later, he was doing. He's married to Jenny McCarthy.
Yep.
And they were doing a charity for autism. Jenny's son has autism, so they were raising.
She's a big proprietor of trying to give back to the autism.
Right, huge
programs. Yeah.
Right. So they were doing a celebrity poker tournament in St. Charles, Illinois, and that's where they live. So they're doing a celebrity poker tournament, raising funds for autism. Okay. So I got the call to go out and do it, to be a part of it.
Wow.
So I never met him before, and he didn't know I was coming. So I went out there and just said, hey, and we just vibed and we hit it off, and he was very appreciative that we came out there. And they raised about $200,000 or $300,000 that night, which was amazing.
Awesome. That's great.
And so it was a great time. We hit it off, and we kept in somewhat touch after that. And then the day before, there was a lot of tweets going back and forth from the fans saying, hey, you got to have Justin Fabus at the Pittsburgh show. He's from Pittsburgh, Wow. And it was just cool. I didn't think anything of it because on the tour, it was called the mixtape tour. So it was them and Debbie Gibson and Tiffany and Salt and Pepper, like all those big 90 pop.
This was in 2018, right? Or 19?
Yeah, 2019. Yeah.
Because it was funny when that tour happened. One of our, not change subject, but one of our, monitor guys, Jay, he worked with New Kids for years.
Okay.
Left New Kids to come with Billy. And I remember that tour started and Jay's like, dude, I'm like, I don't know. You want to look at the garden? And, he stayed with Billy, but he has some great stories about the blockheads and those guys. He's like, they're great. And,
right. Yeah.
exactly. So I'm sorry. But so now they're in
So like, so there was a lot of like commotion on Twitter about like, oh, is he going to show up at the Pittsburgh show? Is he going to do the Pittsburgh? And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it was going to happen because they had 5 people on the act. And as a musician,
Oh, wow.
I know how, when you have that many people on a show, everything's timed. There's curfews. Everybody has their spot.
Yeah.
And they didn't have anything special in any other. They bring someone out like a big, like when they played Nashville, they bring Carrie Underwood out. To do a song with them that they were already doing. So I knew from a logistics standpoint, because I know how this stuff works in the background. There was no way to be able to fit me on that show.
Oh yeah.
And the day before, I got a text message that said, "Hey, this is so and so. I work for Donnie Wahlberg, and Donnie and the guys in the band would like to have you out and do that song. Is that okay? Are you available?" And at first, am I available? Is that a trick question?
I gotta walk my dog that day. What are you talking about?
I'm busy. Exactly. So I ended up doing the show, and they couldn't have been more kind, and something that threw me off is I'm used to playing my guitar on stage and playing music. They were because there were so many acts, they were doing it to tracks. All the artists were singing, they were really singing, and because dancing and stuff like that, that's unbelievable. But they were doing it to tracks.
Okay.
And they were like, we need the track. We want you to sing to the track. And I was like, well, I thought I'd just come up and just play acoustically. And they were like, we really don't have time for that, for the setup.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like, so it was hard for me because I'm not used to that. I'm used to hearing the track and it's just so to have less than 24 hours to put that together. That was something that was a little nerve wracking for me. Sure. So in this, here I am playing my first arena, 20,000 people on top of that, playing it in your hometown.
Yeah. To a track.
To a track. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, well, so we want you here at this time, or maybe about 10 minutes of sound check. I'm used to doing like sound check for as long as I need, get all the tweaks. No. You're going to go out there, do it once or twice. Okay, done. So, I get there and, I go in, do the sound check, and I do it once, and they're like, okay, we'll do it again. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm doing it again. I feel someone behind me. So I turn around, Donnie Wahlberg's standing behind me.
Oh, cool.
Watching, and he's eating beef jerky, like coolest guy, down to earth, sweetest guy in the world.
Yeah. And
he's like, you good? You need anything? I'm like, no, I'm good. So what killed me was there was so much wait time. So I'm like, as a musician,
hurry up and wait, baby.
Yeah, we're pumping. Like we're like a caged animal. We're ready to go. So of course, like my adrenaline is pumping because I'm sound checking. It's an empty arena. There's nobody there. So I'm back and I'm just kind of waiting. Like their tour guy was great, and they're like, don't bother anybody. Don't talk. The whole thing. Don't ask for pictures. Because everybody's doing their own thing, and
sure.
Put me in a dressing room and. Like, make sure you eat, and, they got, great food, me here, I'm eating, when we're on the road, we're lucky to go to like Sheets,
get a sandwich at Sheets. Yeah.
Filet mignon and stuff. And I'm just like, you don't want to be the asshole that's eating 4 steaks. Like, who's that guy?
Putting a lobster in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I was just like, I'm nervous, I was nervous, because it's like, you don't want to screw it up, because you don't want to be the guy that screws it up and then the guy that screws it up in his own hometown.
Yeah, it would be bad.
So they, I must have waited 6 or 7 hours before I went on.
Sure.
So it's like you're pacing and stuff. I remember just walking circles around backstage, in the arena, because it was like, hey, who knows if I'm ever going to play an arena again? Who knows if I'm ever going to play this again? I know, of course, it was on my bucket list to play the arena in my hometown. So one thing I'll never forget is when it was about time for me to go on, they, and I've played numerous shows and I've played in front of thousands of people, but it's nothing compared to playing an arena.
It's a jet engine, man.
Yeah.
When people ask me, how did you start playing for arena? It's like, I always attribute it to sitting behind a 747 taking off.
Yeah.
The crowd noise sometimes is so loud, it will shake you to the point where you don't know what's going on.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. And especially for me, like when I was sound checking to nobody and they were like, all right, are you ready to go on? I'm like, yeah, pull back the curtain. It was like the Wizard of Oz, pull back the curtain, pull back the curtain. And it took my breath away because it went from being a completely empty arena to 20,000 people screaming. And I had to catch my breath. And I've never had that happen before. I've played thousands of shows before and it was like, okay, this is the real deal.
Good.
This is the real deal. So it was a great opportunity, and I'm friends with Donnie, and he's a great guy.
But that I love hearing those stories, and I love what comes after those stories. This is what keeps me going and keeps me awake at night. These little catalysts of things that happen. Like I said, you're throwing spaghetti out. You've said it. So then you come about new management, and a new manager, Tom Dowd, correct?
Yeah.
Tom is known for association with Mark Wahlberg, and he's business partners, and he was on the A&E show Wahlburger, correct?
Right.
That's
yeah.
your new managers, and that's a really good. I mean, that had to happen from that, correct?
Yeah. Talk about like the world, getting in aligning correctly. Tom, in my opinion, is one of the best, businessmen out there. His business partners with Mark Wahlberg, they own Performance Inspired, which is
that's right.
Yeah, and then they're partners for Wahlburgers restaurants, and they just opened a new gym called F45, and they're everywhere. And I came across Tom because he works with the Wahlbergs, and he lives in Pittsburgh. He's not originally from Pittsburgh, but he does he lives in Pittsburgh, and he came up on my Twitter feed. Just on
again, Twitter, you and Twitter.
On miraculously, and he followed me out of the blue, you know what I mean? And then I'm thinking, okay, and so I'm looking for a new manager. I was looking for a new manager for about a year, and I really just wanted to find the right fit.
Sure.
And
it's really hard.
Yeah, and I knew that Tom obviously was a great businessman, but I knew that he had to be a great guy working with with Mark and Donnie before, and so I threw the spaghetti to the wall.
Yeah, man.
And I reached out to him and I said, hey, I'm looking for a manager. I know that you don't manage musicians, and he'd never managed a musician before or anything like that. I said, but I'm really not looking for someone like that. I'm looking for someone that can really kick down the door, and someone I can trust. And you can contest this. Like, there's a million.
That's why I have Steven.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
the most loyal, trustworthy, and he can kick down doors.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm so fortunate, but that's what you need.
Right. I'd rather take that any day over the guy that says, well, I know this guy, and I I know this in the business, and I just know I need someone that's going to have my back, and that I can trust. And I didn't know, I've never met Tom before. And so I sent him an email, and he got back to me and he said, well, I know nothing about the music business. I know nothing, he's like, so I don't understand why me. And he's like, well, send me a business plan. And and I'm thinking, well, there is no business plan, because he's a businessman. So
see a spreadsheet. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm thinking, well, I'll give you so I'm thinking, all right, I'll give you my business plan. Let's just meet and let me talk to you.
Awesome.
And I'm just gonna tell you how it is. And I'm just gonna be honest, and I'm just gonna see. And I just, like I said, threw it against the wall, said, hey, this is what you get. This is what I'm about. We might never get, a Grammy. We might never get a #1 song, but I promise you, I'm gonna do everything I can. Together, we're gonna do it to at least get there. And now he's my manager, and couldn't be happier, and he's a great guy. So
I love it, man. Your mantra is humble and hungry. That's what I'm gonna. That's your new. I'm giving you that.
That's gonna be my
humble,
new,
hungry.
gonna be my new album title.
Humble and hungry. No, that's great, man. I love how it all kind of rolls in together. Speaking of rolling in together, did Steven roll into a ball and fall asleep? I mean, did we lose him again?
I don't know. We've been talking a lot. Yeah.
No, I'm sitting here listening with everybody else.
All right, so everybody else, I think it's a good time for us to have a drink break and hear from everybody else. Hit us with a couple things, if you don't mind, Steven.
All right, let me get to the top of the list here.
Oh, you're going to the top.
You got do a bunch of people have said hello a bunch of times. Ryan Maldonado, sorry, Ryan. Ryan says hello. We got Chris checking in from Clinton, New Jersey. Marianne Stone from the South Shore.
My girl, Marianne.
Lori Collado asking if you're in a New York state of mind tonight. Okay.
Always.
Greg and
what about
Greg,
you, Justin?
Yeah,
Always.
Got Greg and Brenda Wright in Missouri are hanging.
Who are them? I don't know them.
Yeah,
right.
And if
right
they're
is right, it's not wrong.
And if there ever was a hang, you have to have a hang monster. Mr. Benici is on with us.
Benici the hang monster. The guy will hang out to you at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
and then
right.
go to work at 7:30. He's that type of guy. Hey, Frankie.
But the hellos kind of just keep on going. We hit the musical influence piece. Philip referenced actually a lot of people referenced the Robin Hood benefit when we were talking earlier about Billy performing on Robin Hood.
That was a big hit for everybody, I'm sure, correct?
Yeah. Philip made the point it was basically Billy owning New York. It's like and he compared it to a Sinatra type moment.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Love it. It's great.
Tony Walker says, love the show, love the hangs.
Right.
Dan Potts, these Tuesday nights helping to keep us all sane. Thanks, Dan.
I'm Maynard Dan, keeping Maynard Ferguson's name alive in Maynardology and all great recordings. And Dan's a good guy, and he's got a new dog. You got a new dog too, don't you, Justin?
I do, and then we're actually announcing it right now. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Me and my beautiful fiance, we are fostering a bulldog, and hopefully, things work out. We're a good fit together, and we're gonna adopt her. Her name's Raina, and she's paralyzed. Her two back legs are paralyzed. But we're taking her to a chiropractor. That actually works on animals, and they feel like that we might be able to get her legs working again. But she's a sweetheart. She's great, and
awesome.
I have to give my fiance a ton of credit because she's been,
we're gonna get to about your fiance in a minute because she's a special lady and she's got a lot going on too. We're gonna touch on that. Congratulations, that's great, man.
Thank you.
Dogs are a cool thing, man. And so Dan's got a new dog too. So hello, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
What else you got there, dog? Speaking of dogs, Steven's got. Where's your dog, Steven? Is he hanging out or is he in sleep?
He's hanging out in the living room because he's a white Staffordshire, which he's
got his own website. This guy.
Yeah.
Know about Apollo. This dog, man, has more fans than we do. This dog has more fans than you and I put together.
That sounds about right.
That's hilarious. My dog has 4,500 followers on Instagram.
That's awesome.
Apollo the Amstaff. But yeah, no, he's a good time, and then Carl, of course, has Gracie dog keeping all of us sane as well. So
yeah, Gracie's a good. She got a haircut this morning at 7:30 in the morning. That was real fun.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But yeah. So I'll keep going down the list here. Noah says hello to Justin. Chris Hannikin reaches out, says hello to Justin.
Hey.
Marion says it was a delight to hear you and Crystal chatting and laughing together last weekend. So shout out to last week's show.
It was a fun night. She's a special lady.
Oh, Justin gets an "oh, he's cute" comment. There you go. You're welcome for me reading that one out loud. William Handy says, "What's up, everybody?" Todd makes a reference to Adverse Times.
Oh wow! Yeah, thanks, Todd. Record I did, and we called it Adverse Times. It's kind of appropriate now, isn't it? Jeez.
Yeah, right. Melissa chimed in when you guys were actually talking about Shameless. The majority don't know it's a Billy tune, and then also made a comment regarding the fact that what you guys were mentioning, it's what makes a great singer-songwriter is they have to be a great storyteller. So got a lot of people just kind of participating in the conversation. Not a lot of questions. Hope you both make it to Canada one day, from Todd Tamborelli.
Okay. What about you, Justin? Yeah.
Let's sign me up. Let's go. We'll do a tour together.
Yeah, we'll do a trumpet guitar tour. There'll be 6 people there. We'll be our dogs.
Give me a hit.
Hey, we'll promote it through my dog's Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
got a diehard Billy fan here from California named Rob. Let's see. Oh, actually, he made a comment to Backseat, saying it was really interesting to hear that song being taken to that different level. There was another comment earlier referencing that they didn't necessarily hear the trumpet coming in that tune, but it worked out really well. So that's
I gotta hit him hard, bro. You gotta hit him hard.
Yeah.
Justin gave me that place to hit him hard, baby.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, and everybody else is lurking in the comments section. So,
well, cool. Well, we're gonna, if anybody has any serious questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. We'll give you a couple minutes to kind of get chiming in on that. Steven, you're still hanging in there? You all right?
Yeah, man, all good.
All right. So I'm gonna hit Justin with two more, and then we'll kind of wrap it up because, Justin and I have, I think it's our bedtime soon, isn't it?
Yeah, we have so much to do. It's big. big.
I gotta get underwater and do some underwater basket weaving. I think
There
I
you
gotta
go.
do some of that. It's really important.
Well, how about you ask me two questions, and I have two questions for you.
Oh, hit me, man. Hit me. Talk
Okay.
to me.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, man. Hit me.
So, what is your favorite Billy Joel song, and then what is your favorite Billy Joel song to perform?
Damn. So what's my favorite Billy Joel song? It's kind of like, it's honestly, that's a very hard question because his library of music is so big.
Right.
So many.
I know mine changes like depending on my mood. So I should maybe rephrase that. What's your favorite one right now? Because I know every time everybody asks me, it's like it's too hard. He has so many great hits. Like, what's your favorite one right now, and what's like one of your most favorite ones to play?
Okay, that's great. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I had someone ask me the same question, or maybe a month ago, and a month ago it was and so it goes.
Okay.
I just, again, I really feel the way Billy writes and approaches things, and I've said this multiple times, I'll say it again. I really feel like he's a George Gershwin of our time as far as lyricism goes, melody lines, and so it goes. It strikes a chord. I'd like to actually record that tune. Steven brought it to my attention a long time ago, right? Steven, like, oh, you should record So It Goes. I'm like, yeah.
I've been trying.
Checking it out.
Yeah.
Great tune, man.
Yeah.
So I like that. But I have to tell you, I think it's last night changed me a little bit. I take for granted Miami 2017. Hearing just piano and the lyrics last night, I heard lyrics that I've heard them a million times. They stuck with me last night, man. Certain things really stuck with me.
Going on, it takes a whole different perspective, I think, now.
So I'm going to say, as of right now, Miami 2017 from last night's performance of it.
Nice. Yeah.
It was like, so yeah, right. That would be, and you know what? I'm probably going to throw out right now. Well, we haven't played since Mexico. Our last gig was in Mexico in the beginning of March. There's so many great tunes. I'm on about a third of his library of his tunes. I would say horns are on a third of his tunes. I rarely get to play. A lot of the things we haven't even played. We rehearsed, but we haven't played. But one of the ones I would say that I really love playing would be. That's a hard question. I'm going to say right now, it's going to be Miami 2017. I had one independent line. Actually, Billy played it in his right hand last night. It's on the last A section. As she starts in the concert, A flat, boo, boo, ba-da-dee. It's just a little simple line. It's very independent. But man, 20,000 people in front of you, and you have to approach something and not crack a note. And violinists and horn players can attest to this. Man, you're coming out cold and you have to hit a note. It's like it can really mess with your head. So I've been very proud. I love playing that little stupid line.
And you guys open with that a lot. So
yeah,
talk about coming out cold. I mean, talk about the pressure. Like, you got to come out because that first song's always the biggest because people are ready to go. And
yeah, it's that's always a fun moment. So right, I would say if that answers your question, those two right now are kind of on the tip of my tongue right now.
So I got to ask this. So since you said there's a lot of songs that you guys rehearsed,
Yeah.
and you haven't played. What's the one that you've rehearsed that you guys haven't done yet?
Oh, a lot. Back in the day, man, when we were first rehearsing in 2015, I think we rehearsed for about a month and a half, 2 months. And the rehearsal wasn't even a rehearsal. It was like play 2 songs, have lunch, play another song. It was great because we started rehearsing at a car dealership in Long Island. And the dealership was draped with black drapes. I'll never forget it. It was the first week I was on the band. And we played a lot of stuff that we didn't play. And then I remember I guess it was 10. I'm coming on 15 years in December. I guess it was 10 years ago. We rehearsed we don't rehearse much is what I'm getting at, but we rehearsed at SIR Studios in Manhattan for a week or two, actually for a week. And again, it was the same. We were a little more studious then. I think maybe we did 5 songs a day instead of 2. And then we had lunch, but, which is the best part of the day. I think we would have, I'm trying to think. I think we might have played Tell Her About It once, which is a kind of horn heavy tune.
Yeah.
We performed another one. Well, we did Stormfront. I think we did that once at the Garden when there was actually we did play, check this out. We played Stormfront off the Stormfront record. This is a kind of funny story. And I think we only played it once. It was the night before. It was in December. It was close to my birthday. And it was, a horrible snowstorm. That's why we played Stormfront.
Yeah.
We got through it, and I barely got home to the South Shore of Long Island in my car. The car was sliding off the road. My wife and I were freaking out. And that next morning, I woke up. I had kidney stones.
Oh wow! Talk about a Stormfront.
Oh my God! And that was the last time we played Stormfront. There was
I love that song. I think it's such an underrated song, and I just heard this interview recently. Billy said that he was trying to go for the Peter Gabriel Sledgehammer vibe.
Yeah,
which is awesome, and I love that song because I'm a big fan of Richard Marx, and Richard Marx sang background vocals on Stormfront, and that's Not Our Style.
Yeah, it's Not Our Style. Yeah,
so I love that album. Talk about not like you said with Backseat, you weren't expecting. The trumpet, listening to that album front to back, 'cause that's such a beautiful album, to end it with "And So It Goes," like to your point, you weren't expecting that.
Nah.
And I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that song was written way prior to that album, and I think he put that on. You might have to fact check that, but I think that song was already prior written.
Okay.
From that album, and it just didn't fit the
stylistically.
Yeah, that would, I think, the Bridge and the Innocent Man album. It didn't I think it didn't fit one of those, and it fit for the Stormfront album. I might be wrong, but I could swear but
that makes
what a great album.
It's funny though. I mean, a lot of young people don't know even what a long play record or LP or album is, where actually each tune, it took you through a whole story, so you had, 4 tunes on one side or 5 tunes on the other side, or even a CD for that matter. You have 12 tunes, and they all kind of, that's an art, just trying to pick out the tunes that work well against each other. You have a ballad, you have an offbeat tune here, or, that tells a story.
Like a singles world now, which sucks for this generation, because I always loved, the album cuts were sometimes better than the singles.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? And so
it's, it comes to this computer. And Stephen will attest to that with analytics and stuff. Your attention span now is less than 2 minutes because there's so much information, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. Right, Stephen?
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, like you said, it's a singles world, but I tell you, the interesting thing is it wasn't one of those singles writers that closed that show last night. It was a guy that wrote a song 35, 40 years ago, so I think that kind of says something to the
first one of our time, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it just kind of says something.
Is that like Steven said, I don't think that was a hit when it came off the Turnstiles album.
I don't think so. No.
I
remember when I joined the band, we barely played it. It was funny because I remember when we were in 2017, it was like, oh, it's appropriate. It's 2017. He goes, who knew when I wrote this tune that I'd be playing this tune? It was like, it became like the new, it was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. And
talk about separation. Go ahead.
Like you said, it took a whole different last night it took a whole different realm. I think it did that because remember when he performed it for the 9/11 concerts?
Yeah.
I mean, that was unbelievable. That song, there's just so many beautiful moments with that song. And like Steven said, it's funny how it's just a song that a songwriter wrote, and it's just, it's going to live on forever.
Yeah. And you're talking about a lot of things ring true in the way we were talking about how your career has blossomed and things kind of happen for a reason. I'll go one step further. My section mate and one of my best friends and everybody's best friend on that Billy Joel stage, the great Mark Rivera. I don't talk much about him. I need to, and I'd love to have him on the show. He's just a force. And I remember, man, he was talking about Sledgehammer with Peter Gabriel. He was on that original recording of Sledgehammer.
I never knew that.
And he came up with that horn line.
I'm not surprised. I mean, he's so ridiculous, and he's definitely the best dressed guy in your band too. He's always got the shoes on. I love the shoes. Oh my God, his swag is unbelievable.
He oozes just coolness, man. I mean, a lot of times at soundcheck with Billy, we won't play Billy tunes, and we've played. I want to even say live we played Sledgehammer, and it's great hearing Mark Saint talking about that session and how that horn line came up, and it's just a very appropriate horn line, but it changes, and it's kind of cool to kind of get the backstories of things, and I get to play with these great musicians that not play it, but they were involved with from the beginning. So it's kind of cool, that we can both sit here. I mean, you're a young guy, I'm a middle-aged guy, we're all different ages, and it doesn't matter. Music brings everybody together. It's really cool.
You're right.
So any questions before we tie this up, Steven?
I had a couple questions that I didn't hit earlier. Somebody was asking.
I got two more for Justin.
Okay. All right. So
we could do this all night. I mean, I'm having a great time.
Somebody asked if you ever had any interaction with Trombone Shorty, Carl. I
haven't.
So.
I love Trombone Shorty. I think he's great. And actually, what's amazing with trombone is he plays unbelievable trumpet too. New Orleans, and he's a great singer. I haven't seen much of Trombone lately, but I dig what he does, and immediately he plays two notes, and immediately it's Trombone Shorty. He's just a funky dude, and he's got like this funk, acid jazz, New Orleans vibe with like a bit of little rock in it. It's really, if you don't know Trombone Shorty, check him out. Troy Andrews is his real name, Troy Andrews. Mm-hmm. But I haven't run into him. I'd love to run into him. He's a bad dude.
Yeah, he's a great player. Had another question here, but it's actually for Justin, but I have a feeling it's going to be one of your last two. Basically, people asking, what's next. So Carl's probably got that in his list.
Yeah, we defer that to.
Speaking of Trombone Charlie, he was just on a big country album a couple years ago. Dierks Bentley album, great country artist. He was on one of his tracks, the Black album. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very cool.
It's funny too. We got to talk. Even the country guys. I want to say, was it Kenny, the Chesney thing we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
We did the double bill with Billy.
Yeah.
What a fan of. He was a Billy's, and I'm a Buffett head. I shouldn't say I'm not a parrot head, but I like Buffett.
Sure.
And, and so just because I'm a boat fish guy, and
right.
It's kind of. Yeah, but it's cool stuff. And so I wasn't really hip to Kenny, and then I really got into Kenny. And again, he was just such a cool guy. He hung with us he hung with us that day. And there's been Garth Brooks, I gotta tell you. Garth, our last play to Shay, we did the last play with Shay with Billy. And Garth was a guest singing Shameless. And Steven, correct me if I'm wrong. Did I tell this story? Because I don't want to repeat myself. Have I told this Garth story before?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's funny, man. There was a guy walking backstage, pacing back and forth with a Mets jersey on. It was last play at Shea, where the Mets were closing last play at Shea. And this guy kept on walking past. I have a horn box. All my road horns, there's like 8 horns in this box. 5 of them are on stage and the rest are in there in case something breaks, you know, and I always have a horn in there to warm up on. And it's what I'm getting at is a fragile box.
Yeah.
And this guy's walking past this box and he hits the box once. I'm like, I'm becoming unhinged because I know something happened with this box. And so, like, the second time he goes to hit it, I go up to him like, dude, what's wrong with you? Who are you? And he turns around and looks at me and goes, man, I'm really sorry. I'm really nervous. I'm like, and I'm not putting it together. Mind you, we're on our second day of doing Shea. It's last play at Shea. It was we did 2 concerts there. It was one DVD, and the guy's going on and goes, man, I never been this nervous before. He goes, I don't know what's wrong with me. And I'm talking to him like, well, why are you nervous? He goes, you know, all of a sudden it hits me. It's Garth Brooks. And he's wearing a Shea thing and he's apologizing to me because he's pacing and he's nervous. So I'm like, Garth? He goes, yeah. I said, dude, you've done a million different shows, outdoor shows. Why does Billy Joel make you nervous? He goes, exactly. That's why it makes me nervous. It's Billy Joel. He goes, this is the guy. It's, you know, and he had so much admiration for Billy. It was funny. It was like, and then McCartney comes, but that's a whole nother thing.
Those are such huge shows. As speaking of those shows, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter Hewitt sang background vocals on those shows with you guys, right?
Pete from Pittsburgh. A great jazz singer also.
Buddy of mine, great.
He's great dude. Pete,
monster singer, yeah.
Petey was on Billy's band. I want to say somewhere in the 80s as a background singer.
Yeah, they did the Russian. He was on the Russian tour. Yeah,
Pete Hewitt. Great dude. That's funny. 6 degrees of separation. We all know somebody.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe that answered. I don't know where I was going, but I figured I'd throw that out there. All right. So that being said, no more questions. We're good with the questions there, Steve-O?
Yep, we're good.
All right. So I'm going to hit one more thing that's important. It's not last and it's not least, but it's the most important. So, Justin, I know the future, you know, what does the future hold? Talk about your beautiful fiance to be, Julie Grant.
Yeah.
So what's the future hold? Being engaged, touring, making music through these times is a hard thing. And, you know, Julie Grant, if people don't know her, I mean, she's a very successful young lady on her own right. And so maybe talk about her and how you guys are both living in this pandemic, working from home with the virtual thing. You told me this the other day. I thought it was kind of a cool thing. You know, working at home, Julie with Court TV.
Yeah, she's definitely my better half. That's for sure of everything. But she's definitely a godsend. She came at like a very dark time in my life.
Okay.
I just lost my mom, and didn't really know where I was doing, and I was going down a quick path, pretty destructive path, and she's I owe so much to her. She's amazing, and she definitely kind of pulled me out of that hole. I'm kind of and the music that I'm writing now, and I don't know if I told you, I'm working on. Unfortunately, I'm not working on another album because people just don't want albums. I'm working on an EP. What I mean? Because people just want a couple singles, and she personally and musically, and she's just kind of taken me to a whole nother level. She's amazing. Right. And I feel like right now, like her being my muse, obviously, I'm writing some of the best songs I've ever written. So, and I'm excited to have them come out. And the single off the EP is Forever I Do, that came out on Valentine's Day. Yeah. And, it was kind of like after we got engaged, I wrote it, and it's my love letter to her, like my promise, and, where we're going from here. But she definitely, I can't speak, we don't have enough time, in the world right now for me to talk about her and the things I have to, my feelings for her. But I'm very fortunate. We're quarantining together,
okay.
So, she.
And you haven't killed each other yet?
No, not yet. If any, we just adopted a dog, so we must be doing something right or wrong.
Good for you guys. But, that's great.
Yeah. So, but we're very fortunate. And she is one of the anchors for Court TV. And so, it just rebooted last year, and she's an anchor on there, and she's
Julie
fantastic.
Grant, correct?
Julie Grant, yeah. So she is doing her, because we're all stuck at home.
Sure.
She's doing her live show from the same couch.
It's a very popular couch.
Yeah, like right before I jumped on on this, she was doing her show,
That's
so
great, man.
I'm checking the time like, oh, I hope that,
We make it.
yeah, exactly. But and she has yet to, she has yet to see a Billy show. So we
Okay.
were actually planning to come to the Garden in right before everything kind of went, and everything. But so can't wait to experience, have that experience with her, to to experience a Billy show, and get you guys to meet. And
Yeah, it'd be
but
great.
yeah, I'm very fortunate. I'm very lucky. Every day I wonder, maybe she has something wrong with her eyes or had a horseback riding accident. She's gonna wake up one day and realize, what the hell am I doing with this guy? So
No,
I'm definitely the luckiest
congratulations.
guy in the world. So thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
No, it's great, man. Goodness finds goodness. So that's
Thank
a
you.
beautiful thing. So obviously you're excited about that, and what it doesn't have to be music. It doesn't have to be anything that's on your mind right now. But before I ask you this question, I'm going to say, for people who don't know, Justin fans that are here and new Justin fans that are here, um, I'm going to plug you this Thursday, May 14th. You're doing are you still doing that virtual concert benefiting Ronald McDonald House of
Yeah,
Pittsburgh?
yeah. So Ronald McDonald House, does amazing things. It gives people like boarding, that they're coming from all over that need, for hospitals and so forth. And we'll board them in that town for that hospital. And there's Ronald McDonald houses all over. So I'm doing a virtual concert, and there'll be a link on the virtual concert site that all the funds will go straight to Ronald McDonald House. So it funds them, because right now, I mean, you know, people are forgetting those,
Yeah,
great charities like Ronald McDonald
sure.
House, Meals on Wheels, and
Yeah.
everyone on the front lines. Those are the real rock stars. That are
They
have to
just make we're believed. Those are the real rock stars, without a
right,
doubt, man.
exactly.
How do
So,
we get to that? How do we find out? How do we get to that virtual concert? Is there a website?
uh, well, they could just go. It will be broadcasted from my Facebook page.
Oh, it'll be on
Uh,
your Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, so it's Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be good times. It'll be real interactive like this. Be playing some songs and taking
Awesome.
requests, and just trying to raise as much. And I know right now everybody is hurting.
Sure.
So it's very hard for people to donate, and
To
I
give,
do
yeah.
that. But a dollar goes a long way. So if you can spare a dollar, if you can't, just come and have a good time. Just to kind of like what we're doing tonight, just to
Come and
take
hang
a
out.
step back and just
Yeah.
breathe and say, get away from the madness and just have a good time.
Yeah, man. I look forward to this every week because I get to hang with my friends. We get to talk about whatever and music and good stuff, and it takes your mind. Our mantra, Stephen and I always talk about it, is just trying to get your mind off something for a while,
Yeah,
like kind of like a lyric that we all know from a Billy tune.
exactly.
But what's your exact Facebook so people can land there? You remember it? Because I don't remember it.
Yeah,
I'm horrible.
it's if you can just search Justin Fabus. If you're looking for the link, it's
Fabus.
yeah. If you're looking for the link, it's Justin. It's facebook.com / the Justin Fabus. And not to sound pompous, but someone stole Justin Fabus, so I had to put
Okay.
the Justin.
Okay. So, there, no, it's good, man. No, because I want people to land there because
Right.
it's great music and a great cause. So that's May 14th. That's this Thursday.
Yeah, this
So,
Thursday, man.
so
Yeah.
he's hanging on that, and I'm gonna hit you with one more, and then we're gonna close up. What again? It doesn't have to be music related. It could be any. What excites you in the future? What's got you? What's on your mind for the future? It could be anything with this pandemic or getting out of it or anything. It could be what you're going to have for breakfast. I don't care. I just kind of, what's on your mind, bro?
I mean, I think with the pandemic, I think a lot of people are jumping the gun and want to just kind of get back to normal. And I just, everything's just so unknown with right now. I don't think it's a good idea just to dive back into things the way they were. But what I'm looking forward to, just, new beginnings, because the whole world's going to be different after this, especially the music scene. And I know people are very worried about, like, it's not going to be the same, and it's going to be not going to be same in a bad way.
Yeah.
I think it gives us an opportunity to do things new, and to kind of, like, realize what we had, and to not take certain things for granted. Because before this, you could go outside and go see live music pretty much any night of the week,
Sure.
and to actually feel live music. And there's nothing wrong with things like this, but it's a different monster when it
Different.
comes
It's
to this,
different.
and live shows. And I think, we took that for granted, not even just music, just going out and being with people, being
Social.
in a group and socially, and just saying, hey, like, let's have a good time, and being that in that circle. to now just being afraid to go outside or not being allowed to go outside.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the fact of, being able just to spend time with people you love, whether that's, it is in a music scene or not, and just kind of not have restrictions and just see where we go from there.
Cool. Well, that being said, man, we can't wait to see what's coming on in the future for you.
Thank
You
you.
got a
Thank
friend. Much love and respect to you, and thank you for spending time with us.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. So much love and respect to you and Steve. And you guys have really kind of taken me under your wing and been great mentors and really given me great opportunities. And just,
Man,
I
I feel
adore
sorry for you. You got
Thank you.
problems. You got issues.
Hey, I'm just here for the outfits, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. it's bring your own mask day,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm running out of things to wear. No, I appreciate it, bro. You've been wonderful, and hopefully we got some new friends. Hopefully we'll all gain some new friends from
Yeah.
this thing. So
We're gonna start that Canada tour as soon as we can, go on tour.
let's go, man.
Billy won't mind. He'll give you a couple of days off, right?
I'll come up on my tricycle. It'll be
There
good.
you go.
Yeah, it'll be good, brother. Well, thanks, man. Steven, it's all you, bro. We appreciate you guys coming out. Check out Steven, and we'll catch you next Tuesday.
Thanks,
you.
guys.
All right, guys. So just to tie things up, thank you guys for hanging out, and really appreciate everybody hanging out in the comments as well, and for your questions. Always try to get to as many as we can. Like I said before, it does help us out. I know it just seems like a share and a like, or if you're on YouTube, a subscribe, but believe it or not, it does help out, and it helps to expose all the stuff that we're trying to do within these algorithms and in Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. So I really appreciate everybody that takes the time to do the like and the subscribe, and really want to thank you guys for hanging out, and hopefully we will see you next Tuesday. Be safe until then. Thanks again.
Mr. Carl Fischer.